forward. And there's that, that bridge. I think some industries might be easier to transition or kind of rebuild into this new system. Others would just take too much time and work and effort, and it just doesn't make sense. It's broken, and it's going to stay broken, and it's not going to be fixed. I mean, Napster came out in '99, and the music industry has been broken ever since then, and still there's no solution to fix that. They've been trying to. Spotify still isn't a profitable business. They've got a lot of years, and certainly are acquiring lots of new users, but they haven't been able to find a way to translate that into profitability. Now, almost after 10 years of being a company, that doesn't sound like a solution to me, right? So this creates a whole new way of capturing data, where you could have a system similar to the user interface and interacting with the technology. That's not that much different than how you would interact with Spotify, or how you would interact with a Facebook, for example. But the kind of plumbing that operates the capturing the value would be living on a blockchain. Yeah.
So I heard Spotify had some technical challenges when they were sort of expanding to customers outside of the United States. These other countries have
different
laws.
rights management.
Yes,
that's correct.
So are you guys going to restrict your launch to the United States, or you guys have some strategy for dealing with those sorts of issues?
Like as an event ticketing? Like, we're not.
Whatever, yeah. Can you just
no.
No.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Not for us as an industry. I mean, we talk. I know some people in Japan that are trying to do some stuff with. Jason, you talked to some of your friends in South Korea.
Right. Yep.
There really isn't any bounds as long as you can buy Ether. We can accept that. For us as a platform, and for most other ICOs as well, it's still the same.
You guys don't have to collect value-added taxes for local jurisdictions, or that's something that you expect other entities to deal with for you?
Don't know how to answer that. I mean, it's not the same sort of thing, I guess.
Unknown.
You do have to collect taxes.
Oh yeah, of course.
Stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the tax man will find its way, but how that is treated is still really up in the air. Yes.
I guess it's tough to kind of wrap our heads around this idea right now because you kind of have this very I don't want to say a simplistic view of the whole idea, which is good. It's really good. And then there's this other view right now that we're familiar with laws and legal and people having rights based on what laws are out there and precedent cases and all of that. And so there is that simplistic view of why can't it just be easier and quicker, and why can't the artists get paid? It's a huge issue. Why shouldn't they get paid what they deserve so that they can be focused on creating content and being creative? Let's just make it happen. But then there's that other view of but there are all these laws and all these rights, and these are the ways that people have to get in, and these are the middlemen that have to exist so that all these rights are not taken advantage right now. So,
In the current system.
in the current system, right? But then I think even if we go, I think we were mentioning it before that the term contract is a little bit misleading, because even though you can have this simplistic way of doing it, of here, just take my music for this much ether or whatever it's called, and just make it happen and then pay me. On top of that, I think there still needs to be. It just makes sense right now, maybe it'll be different in the future. There still needs to be a more legitimate, enforceable contract that can be
So
yeah.
they can live, if, for example, you have your song and for whatever reason this person used it and you see that you don't have a transaction in the blockchain. You still have ownership, and wherever they are, you can probably try to go after them using whatever laws they are in. So if they do it in the United States, it'll be the US laws. There's still that contract. We're not necessarily stopping that. It's just not necessarily what the blockchain is necessarily handling. It can be handled later on. Like, let's say there's a settlement. Well, as part of the settlement, you as the artist, as the victimized party, I don't know, the party of hurt, whatever, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer. You could say like, this is where you pay me, and they have to kind of pay that, and the law can go like, yes, this person paid, or yes, or no, this person did not pay.
It's just
You know,
interesting
it,
because that.
it can sort of expand out of those things. There's still an interaction like that.
Right. But it's just interesting because those talks, those negotiations come out of the terms that were agreed to in the contract, actually. Not huge contract, but legit contract that the lawyer talked, maybe the manager, producer, or.
And the blockchain just be the source of truth. So for example, if it got onto this TV show and the person says, oh, I spoke to David at this label, he said I could use it. And then you as the artist goes like, no, I made a contract that says two have to approve, and I don't see us as being approved. As a matter of fact, I declined it. Now you can kind of go use it as your source of information. Go like, it's kind of like a notary for all the things. You know, you go to your court and go like, I did not approve this. I don't know what the fuck that guy's talking about. Andy's not, or I forgot the name already. Is not allowed to do that, and you can kind of build your case in that regard, right?
Do you have a question or a response?
It's just an observation, right?
Okay.
So, and I'm making an assumption here that part of the reason you wanted to convene all of us to talk about this is because you want to see a system like this make progress towards being implemented, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
And like the pattern, like that I want to point out for you for that purpose is that what a lot of this is circling around is not, it's not strictly the confusion between like a smart contract and a contract. It's that there's a difference to be made between the rights. Rights are established by law, right? And then there's the deal. And that much of what the lawyers do is encoding the deal between two parties, right? And those deals are complicated, right? They are pages and pages, they have precedent behind it, and so
I've dealt with it.
and the trick, right, like the hard thing that makes it hard to wrap your head around is, especially when you say contract, is like, how do you encode these very complicated deals in a simple algorithm, right, that's going to be so trivial to execute that it could happen in seconds. And
You probably can't.
It will depend on how
and so I don't, the thing is, sorry, go
I
ahead.
think one is you have empirical documentation that's already being used, and then it deals with the back end, the monetization. Where you have a stack that deals with that, and the lawyers deal with the electronic documentation aspect of the front end, right? Front end release stuff, their documentation is digitized, but then the interesting thing is about what, around what's going on the back end, the server side, and on blockchain technology.
What I like to think with the blockchain is that it's the execution layers, which you guys are really getting at it, right? It's like readable, it's unstoppable, and these are apps that are going to be running until there's no more electricity, no more miners, no more valuers. And these contracts are really, they're apps with rules, and they just keep going.
Yes.
And that's what it is, I think. I mean,
It sounds to me like at some point you do have to have some kind of a workflow where, where the decision points still include the human, at least initially, as you refine, the actual rules. Because I agree, like some of these any contract, I guess, can be pretty difficult. From a UI perspective, I guess you could have, these questionnaires, some WYSIWYG thing, which over time, you can continue to add to. But I think, I was reading something the other day, it said if there's any portion of your job that can be standardized, it's a candidate for automation. So when you think about it, attorneys have all kinds of templates. There is stuff definitely that can be standardized. So.
And part of the idea of what Ethereum is doing is collecting massive amounts of data, right? In an open ledger, in an open way that's not siloed in the walled garden of the internet of 2017, which if you really think about it is owned by 4 major companies, We all know who they are, right? And although those servers certainly can talk to one another, they largely guard that information. And it's being locked away in those vaults. I would argue that Mark Zuckerberg is likely the most powerful man on earth and knows more about us than we'd like to, that we even can comprehend. If you can create or replicate, and again, this is just future positing here, if you could replicate a system like that where all the social networks collect that massive amount of data that we control, and that there's public access to that information, then you could very well take machine learning algorithms that are present and existent now in 2017, that in order for them to work really well require a tremendous data set to be trained to be accurate, to identify much more than just a cat in a photograph, but to potentially, through the precedent set of 20 years of this data being collected, execute a complicated contract in an automated kind of way without any human bias. I mean, I imagine at some point there's going to be human bias because humans are creating the technology, but with convolutional neural nets, they do the learning themselves, and we don't even understand how the Google search algorithms work in 2017. This stuff is so far uncomplicated. So that's where things get interesting, is when you open up those vaults, when you break down the walls of that garden and allow access to that information, which is tremendous value in terms of how we behave as humans, and then think of ways to automate that. That's when things get really interesting. That's when like, maybe we perceive the contract as being incredibly complicated to execute now because of our level of thinking. I think as we evolve our thinking, that could very well change. I don't know how, but I would argue that the problems that we face today cannot be solved by the same level of thinking that created them. And what we're trying to do is elevate our level of thinking. And a lot of the conversation, a lot of the discourse that's happening is like, well, today it's like this, so that's not going to work in the future. But that's to limit ourselves and not try to explore what that possibility is. I mean, yeah, did it make sense to board a ship to see if there's a new trade route to Asia? Well, there was enough incentivization at some point for some crazy people to board that ship and say, okay, we're just going to see what's up. And I imagine most people in Europe were like, you guys are crazy. Don't ever do that. It's fine here. But somebody had to go and explore to see, oh wait, there's a whole continent in between. That is what North America is, and we've discovered this whole new land, and we're exploring, we're explorers. That's what we're doing. We don't know the answers to these questions. There could very well be an answer to these questions in 5 years from now that we simply can't think of today. Like if you were to go back in time and ask a caveman how to make your life, what would make your life better? What do you think the caveman is going to say? They're still human. They still have the same brain that we have now. Right, 50,000 years ago, very little has changed in terms of our processing power, right? They're going to say, well, I'd really like this fire to stay lit overnight. That'd be nice. Or I'd really like a bigger rock to go in front of my cave so that these animals don't try to come in and kill my family. They're not going to think, oh, I'd like a faster car, or like, I'd like an artificial intelligence to, make me coffee in the morning. They're not even capable of thinking that way. The brain hasn't changed at all since then, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't, like how it's like saying, well, how is life going to be better for us now? I don't even think we may be equipped to answer that. I mean, we could like try to predict some kind of thing, but we don't know what that is. But there's like a seed of a technology here that could potentially lead to that faster internet connection for the caveman, right? Or to keep that fire lit throughout. Like they have no idea of what would make it. Does that kind of make sense? I know I'm traveling off here, but we might not know what that is. And what we're trying to do is elevate the thinking to another level, and that's going to require leveling up our consciousness and awakening ourselves to new ways of interacting with each other, with getting out of these systems of just, it's going to get a little philosophical here, but I think we need to awaken our minds to that there's not just this way in which this whole world that exists right now was created by us, by levels of thinking that people know smarter than us, that we just believe that life has to be this way. We just live this status quo. We do these things and we follow these steps, and that's just the way it is, and it's always going to be that way, and it can't change, right. But it's going to change. And people like Angelo and I are crazy enough to believe that we can be better. We don't really know what that is, but we're going to fucking try, right? Because if you don't, then it's just we're going to just fuck up the planet, and the dystopian world that we live in right now is only going to get worse. And it could be better. So, I don't know what it's going to be. Yeah, right? That's the underlying philosophy, guys. It's like, let's open up our minds a little bit and think of a better fucking future.
Okay, what's your way of thinking outside of the norm with box?
By creating new
hold
systems.
on. But do you have a problem that you look at first in order to stimulate creative thought? Or are you thinking about something without a problem?
The problem is it being walled off.
Hold on. Is there a way of thinking about it without a problem? Or do you need the problem?
Okay, now we're going to this as well.
Yeah, we'll you and I will talk about that. All right, let's talk about that.
Well,
Is it 9?
it's 7 o'clock. I mean, you can keep on talking for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
What does the name mean?
HelloSugoi?
Oh.
Hello, amazing. Because amazing is to go in Japanese.
Sugoi? Oh.
Did you want to talk about Benji Rogers, dot blockchain? Did you want to talk about Benji
Yeah,
Rogers?
we did briefly.
Already? Okay.
Yeah, I kind of gave an example.
Okay.
Yeah. Feel free to look up any of this stuff after, or talk with me.
Okay.
Again, I can't speak for all of the details that he knows about his file format, but it seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Go on.
All right. As like you guys are like thinking about these problems and like looking at the space and like I just wondered what your opinion on like Ripple was. You know about Ripple, the like, bank. And I just wondered if you think of that as like inspirational or more adversarial. Like, what?
So Ripple. So if you guys don't know, so if you want to send money to another bank, there's like it goes to like there's a bunch of parties in between. Like it goes to like a register in Europe that gets Okay, so you try to send money to another bank. It goes to a clearinghouse, and that it does it by like chunks, and you have to wait like 3 days because it's like all backlogged. So instead of that, there's a bunch of banks who are kind of going like, you know what, I'm going to use the blockchain as my source of truth. So if I want to send money to Jason, I can say, hey, Bank of America, I want to send money to Jason. I want to send him $100. Bank of America makes a commit to the blockchain, and then when Jason goes to his bank at Western Union, Western Union's going to go, so basically it's like, I'm expecting $100. Western Union will check the blockchain and go like, oh, yes, Bank of America is saying that I can receive 100. I'm going to release funds to Jason. And that can happen within like a couple of minutes, rather than a couple of days. So they're using the blockchain as a source of truth instead of going through a clearinghouse that has to like go through a bunch of parties and like wait 4 days for it to actually kind of resolve. I think it's pretty cool. It's a nice use case. I'd love to get rid of Cobalt. I think that's probably like the biggest thing that's kind of an issue right now for banks, because like they probably don't have any programs for it or anything like that.
I guess maybe, are you guys like in the like cryptocurrency space? Like how did you guys come to this platform as like, this is what we want to do? Were you interested in the space first, or did you have the problem first? Maybe?
So I was interested in the space, and I was just kind of like doing other things. I mean, Jason and I were just
I had a problem.
Yeah, we would just be talking about stuff, and you know, out of it came HelloSugoi.
My problem is that in order, I would argue that the greatest value that anyone else can, well, aside from, I'll get altruistic here, aside from love, is the result of creativity, of making something, right? Or providing an experience for somebody, whether it be musical or an art gallery or whatever it may be, right? And in order for an artist to create content that is of that kind of value requires a tremendous amount of time. And most of us in our life trade time for dollar bills, which I don't feel is always the most fair trade, because money can come and go, but time only moves forward as far as our consciousness and our egos perceive it to be. Anyway, So if I have to survive and pay my bills and pay my rent, trade away my time doing something that's not art, then I'm not practicing my craft. And I would argue, one would argue that to perfect your craft to the point of providing creative value takes a tremendous amount of time. Yeah, well over 10,000 hours, I would even say, which is like 5 hours or 10 hours a day for 5 years or something like that. Yeah, so it obviously could take much, much longer than that.
All right, well, this is us. If you want to get us contact, you're at HelloSugoi. Give us your email so we can give you updates on what we're doing. So when we actually launch, you can be a part of it, be aware.
Yep.
You can contact us on Twitter, which is at HelloSugoi, and we're on Facebook too. We will be here for a little bit longer, and that's how we're talking. But you can come up to us or just talk amongst yourselves. It's fun.
Awesome.